Welcome to this chapter 4, part 3 of Bipin Chandra. In this lecture, we are going to take Pitt's India Act, a modern Indian history lecture space. Before moving to the lecture, I will request you to please go through this lecture till the end so that you will have a complete knowledge of the topic. So, Pitt's India Act, as we have discussed in the part 2, where the Regulation Act of 1773 was not that effective and there were too much drawback under it. So, the British government launched the Pitt's India Act with lots of regulations, lots of imposition under the British East India Company, and now the British East India came under the complete power of British government. Now the British government started to control the East India Company from that far behind as a government one. Okay. So what exactly was Pitt's India Act and what was the drawback of it? All those things we are going to discuss. So failure of Regulation Act leads to pass another act in 1784. That the Regulation Act that we already discussed in 1773 that was passed. Okay, so this act, the Pitt's India Act, was in 1784. That was known as Pitt's India Act. And this act gave supreme control to the British government over the company's affairs and administration in India. So earlier it was just a regulation that was imposed by the British government to satisfy the opposition, satisfy the voice raised by the opposition. But the monopoly of the British East India Company was maintained. In this case also the East India Company monopoly was maintained, but with respect to the trade with the China only. Okay. So this act gave the supreme control to the British government over company affairs and its administration in India. How administration is taken? They had a control of the military, civil affairs, and other related stuff. And in the Regulation Act, it was said that Madras and Bombay have to take permission or can do any financial related work with the permission of Bombay only. Okay. Now, in this act, Madras and Bombay have to take permission. They will work completely under for all affairs under the Calcutta. So, Calcutta became the capital of India. Okay, with respect to the British government work. So the board of control was set up to the guide and control the work of court of directors and the government of India. So this act placed the government of India in the hand of Governor General and the Council of Three, so that the Governor General could get the support of even one member. So it was like the earlier what was the provision in the Regulation Act? It was like there were four members and one Governor General, and in that case, Governor General doesn't have a veto power. Remember, that was the one major drawback for the Regulation Act. But here, the Governor General will have a veto power, and three members will be present in the council. So that if the Governor General could, like, if Governor General, let us suppose, if had any one support from the councils also, so he will be able to make a decision. Okay, so he could give the way. So like he will manipulate other one and all also. Okay, so that's why there was a three member and one Governor General right now, and now the Governor General will have a veto power. So veto power will be have that means that he have a power to not agree of any particular decision. He will be on the top of his, like, let us suppose a decision has been taken that they want to execute a policy, and if the Governor General is not agreeing with that policy, they will not be able to implement it. Even they have a majority of a stake, even they have a majority on the imposition of policy. If Governor General is not agreed, it won't be passed. Okay, so now the Governor General have a veto power as well. So Governor General could get the so this act clearly subordinated the Bombay and Madras presidency into the Bengal in all questions of war, diplomacy, and the revenue. So earlier in the Regulation Act, it was like only financial related steps were taken care. Okay, now in this one, uh, related to all this stuff, they have to take permission. They have to take permission with the Bengal presidency. Thus, this act began the new phase of British conquest in India. Now, the British government is directly controlling the India. Okay. Earlier it was the indirect imposition, now it was a direct imposition. Like now they were involved directly into the government of or the ruling of the India. So East India Company became the instrument of British national policy. India was to be made to serve the interest of all section ruling class of Britain. Now India was responsible for all the expenditure that is going to be done in the Britain. It was to be taken from the India only. It means like India is going to serve all the sections of the ruling classes of Britain. Further, the monopoly of the company was maintained with respect to India and China trade, and it retained profitable right appointing the dismissing the British officially. So as I've said that the monopoly over the trade with India and China was retained. Earlier, we will see that the all things will be banned and the tea will be allowed later on in this chapter. But right now, the monopoly with the India and the China was retained. Overall, Pitt's India Act brought general framework in which government of India was to be carried out till 1857. But later, like it was like the Pitt's India Act will be followed till 1857. When it came just after like 1784. It was 1773 when the Regulation Act came. But now after that, when it failed in 1784, they launched Pitt's India Act, and Pitt's India Act was to be supposed to be worked in the same manner till 1857. But within that period, so much amendments happened between the Pitt's India Act, thus it lost lots of its touch, and lots of the privileges of the East India Company was snatched. Okay, so but in the starting, the Pitt's India Act was like that, was in the same that we have discussed right now. So what were the provisions under the Pitt's India Act? For political matters, the Board of Control was created. See, two bodies were created. One was the Board of Control and another was the Court of Directors. Board of Control was responsible for the political matters, and the commercial related affairs will be related to the commercial directors, like a Court of Directors. And the Board of Directors will be like military things or the ruling parties, and also those things will be taken care of the Board of Control, and the Court of Directors will take care of the commercial affairs and all trade and all. Okay, so the Board of Control took care of civil and the military affairs, and it comprised of six people. Okay, it comprised of six people. Like within that board of directors, there will be six people. And which are those people? So one will be your president, and one will be chancellor of exchequer, one, and four will be your privy councillor within it. So total it will be your of six. Okay, so one will be privy council under it. In this dual system of control, like they followed the dual system of control for the India. One, that is one of the board of director, and another will be the court of directors. Board of control and the court of directors were the two bodies to control the India that was followed by the British government. That is known as the dual system of government. The company was represented by the court of directors and the British government by the board of control. Okay, so now what it happened, like the company, like if company have to represent anything, so like related to British officials and or related to war related stuff or military related stuff, so therefore that they have to take permission from the court of directors, and the British government, if they want to relate it to the uh, sorry court of related to the trade, it will be the court of directors, and the board of control related to the military and the political affairs. So this act mandate that civil and military affairs disclose their property in India and Britain with 2 months of their joining. Okay, so this act mandated the civil and military officers to disclose whatever the property they had. So see, what was the reason behind? One of the reason behind the Regulation Act of 1773 was to stop to check corruption, to check corruption. But this corruption was, but this imposition regulation was failed. Now they came with Pitt's India Act, and in Pitt's India Act, they said like the officers have to disclose whatever the property they have within 2 months to check to check corruption. Okay, to check corruption. So that was one of the important point mentioned in the Pitt's India Act, that the 2 months period was given to them to disclose their what is the property they have in India and the Britain to the officers. The Governor General's Council strength was reduced to 3 members. As I said, in the in the Regulation Act it was four, and right now it was given, now in the Pitt's India Act it was given three. and one of the three members would be commander in chief and the British Council armies in India. And now the governor general will have a right of veto power will be have. So if he is not agree, he will the policies or any imposition will not go. So it is like that, the governor general has to be agree if anything want to be regulated or anything want to be imposed. Okay, earlier in the Regulation Act it was not like that. The presidency of Madras became subordinated to the Bengal presidency in all affairs. Earlier it was financial only, like in regulation in Regulation Act of 1773, it was that they were Bombay and Madras were came for the financial related stuff. They have to take permission from the Bengal. But now in the Speeds India Act, for all affairs, not only financial, for any affairs, for all affairs, they have to take permission from the Bengal. So it means like they completely came under they completely subsumed under the Bengal. Okay, thus Calcutta became the capital of British possession in India through Pitt's India Act. So what were the features of the act? This act made a distinction between the commercial and the political activities of the East India Company. So earlier East India Company was doing what? They were like governing also, they were doing administration work also, political work also, trading work also, business also. But now through this act, there was a clearly demarcation made that this is the political activity and these are the commercial things. These commercial things will come under this director. This commercial thing will come under the court of directors, and the political activities come under the board of control. Okay, so this clear demarcation made by the British government through the East India Company will help in checking the corruption. Okay, so this was one of the main point, the features of the Pitt's India Act. For the first time, British possession in India was used. This act gave the British government direct control over the Indian administration, as they started to directly control the Indian government. Earlier, it was like what? Through companies only they were regulating it, but now they completely jumped into it and they started to control the India. The company became subordinate to the British government, unlike as in the Regulation of 1773. In 1773, there was no any subordination done. It was just regulating the company. British government was just regulating the company. But now the company has been completely subsumed under the British government, where the government only sought to regulate the matters and not to take over. In the Regulation Act of 1773, not in the Pitt's India Act. In Regulation Act of 1773, it was just to regulate the company's matters, but now it was completely subsumed under the British officials, British government. So this act established the British Council authority in the civil and the military administration of its Indian territories, and commercial activity were still a monopoly of the company, mainly related to the India and China. Okay, so it was like through the commercial activities, no other company was allowed also to trade with the India and also. Okay, so this monopoly was still retained with the company. What was the drawback of this act? This act was deemed failure because there was no clarity on the boundaries between the company's power and the government authority. These things were given, but who is more powerful? Either British government or the company, British East India Company. That was not clearly demarcated. So that was the only one issue in the Pitt's India Act, and other the monopolization that will also be. We'll see that after the many amendments, the company will lose its monopoly as well. Okay, and the company still had the authority to, or the company still had the power to choose his officials. Okay, so that was one of also the drawback, that way that no outsider will be able to join officials, like this power retained as a monopoly with the East India Company only. Okay, so the Governor General had to serve two masters. What is one drawback? So now the Governor General have to two masters. One is the board of control, another will the court of directors. Okay, so East India Company and the British Crown. Now that was the two divisions under the British East India Company, and now the Governor General have to stop the two things, East India Company and the British Crown as well. So for the British Crown, he was a representative for the East India Company, and for the East India Company, he was like sending all the information to the British Crown. So it was like he have to do two sort of operations, two sending and receiving both from the both side. So there were no clear boundaries between the responsibilities of the board of control and the board of directors of the company. The governor general had to take on a spot decision execution, exercising his discretion because he has a veto power as well. Okay. So this was all about the PITS India Act. I hope you have understand this video. Please like and subscribe. This is a new channel. We really need your support. If you have any doubts, please feel free to ping on my Twitter handle. Thank you.